Good evening. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Happy holidays. Happy middle of the week. Happy middle of whatever is going on in your life. I'm Dr. Marlene Morris, and my intention here at Spirit Central is that if you need a little lift, if you need a little faith, if you need a better understanding of your relationship with Spirit, well, that's why we're here. And you are always welcome to join us. I like to think that we are a kind of spiritual clinic. We help you feel better if you're feeling bad, and we'll help you feel even better if you're already feeling fine. And we can also function as a spiritual urgent care center if that happens to be what you need at any given moment. I'm often asked, since we are obviously not traditional, if we believe in God. Yes, absolutely. So then I'm generally asked just what it is we believe. Here, in a nutshell, is the answer to that question. We believe that there is a creative, motivating force in the universe and beyond the universe. Call it what you will. It answers to 1,000 names. It is the intelligence, the activity, the power, and the love back of all creation. It is the higher life within each one of us. And when we realize that, we can direct it to heal our lives, our bodies, our world. So now you know. So I like to get you thinking right from the start. So here's tonight's question. What do you love most about the holidays? What is your favorite holiday tradition? And where did that come from? How did you get it? When did it start? Do you have a holiday tradition? Would you like one? One of my favorite holiday traditions is sharing children's stories with you. I think it's the perfect time of year, and children's stories almost always focus on love and hope and faith in something good. And yes, there is a cat in the background. That's Spirit. Doesn't everyone have Spirit just sort of hanging around? Anyway, Spirit, what are you going to knock off? Just so I know ahead of time. Spirit is kind of our mascot here. He comes and he goes, and he is thinking about going, which is probably a good thing. There you go. Bye, darling. Anyway, to set the tone for the evening, I'd like to go right into what I'm going to talk about tonight because I think it's timely and full of love and hope and faith. So if you don't mind holding on to whatever you'd like to talk about for just a little bit longer, I'll just jump in and do this, and then we can talk when the story is over. Hang on. Oh, Facebook loves to send me little messages. I'm never sure if I should pay attention to them or not. So, here we go. Like I said, I love Christmas stories, and I especially love children's Christmas stories. And especially ones with heart. So, this one's a natural for me. If I tear up a couple of times, it's because I'm a softie. I am. The story is called An Orange for Frankie. It's another one by Patricia Polacco. And this particular story is personal to her. It's about a chapter in her own life. Frankie, An Orange for Frankie, Frankie was her grandmother Stella's brother, her great uncle. And the author does her usual amazing job of bringing each of the family members to life for us as she retells this story. let me show you a copy of the cover. I have misplaced my copy, but gratefully I made enough. I'm trying to get that straight for you, but there we go. It's called An Orange for Frankie by Patricia Polacco. There.
Hold it up higher. You can't see the whole thing.
There.
Good. There you go. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
There. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tech department. Okay. It would work better with the actual book in my hand, but I'm not sure where I put it. Anyway, Polacco begins the book with a short explanation. Frankie, she writes, was the heart of the household, especially at Christmas, when the whole family came together to celebrate and traditionally to gather boughs of greens and place them on the mantle. Then they added apples and dried flowers and cookies and nuts and finally the crowning touch, the oranges, 9 of them. 1 for each of the children born to the Stowell clan. Precious, rare oranges in those days that their father had driven horse and buggy all the way to Lansing to fetch back home just for Christmas Eve. The story begins with the children gathered at the window watching the train come in to the stop at the corner of their property. They race downstairs where Ma is already cooking. She's got coffee brewing and bacon and rashers and cakes for her guests. These are not unexpected. Johnny cakes and corn pone and corn cakes and all wonder of things. The engineer steps into the house and Ma serves up a cup of coffee and a plate of cakes. Then she tells her boys to take a bucket of steaming water with some soap and a towel to the 4 men who are outside. The men are hobos. And although he wasn't supposed to allow hobos on his train, Mr. Dunkel, the engineer, knew that times were tough and that these men got very little kindness from the soul world. So he turned a blind eye to the rules and not only let them ride, but brought them to caring people who might just feed them and give them a cup of coffee. The men wash up and are very grateful for the coffee and the food. Mom chats with them, and then Frankie starts up with a conversation with the oldest man. "What's your name, mister?" "Jump up Billy," he says, and holds his cup out for more coffee. That's when Frankie notices that the man doesn't even have a shirt on under his coat. And it's freezing. It's snowing outside. Frankie rushes back to his room to find a sweater for the man, but everything is too small. Everything except the sweater that his sister Stella had knitted for him last Christmas. It was his favorite. But he knew that the old man needed it more than he did. So Frankie stuffed it under his waistcoat and took it outside. Then he pulled the old man away from the others and behind the shed gave him the sweater. The old man was eager to accept the warmth. "Now ain't this pretty?" he whispered. The engineer yells that it's time to go, and the men follow him back to the train, stopping to lift their hats and wave as the train jolts to a start. Mrs. Stowell straightens up the kitchen as she has many times before, and goes back to preparing the family's dinner. And then as the day goes on, the older children and their families begin to arrive. Everyone's coming home for the holidays. Frankie's older sister tells him she's made a scarf to go with the sweater she knitted last year, and she can't wait to see how they look on him together. Frankie manages to change the subject, but he's worried. And there's an even bigger cloud over the Stowell family joy. It's 2 days till Christmas Eve, and Pa hasn't returned yet from his trip to Lansing. He's always back by now. But this year the heavy snows have blocked the roads, and that might mean no oranges. And worse, no Pa. The next morning, Ma suggests that everyone go out together and find the perfect tree. And they did. That afternoon, everyone is decorating the tree and helping with the cookies and putting the greens on the mantel when Frankie looks out the parlor window and realizes that it's snowing really hard. How will Pa get through this? The mantel looks so bare without the oranges, he cries. All you care about is the oranges, they say. How selfish can you be? We don't care if the oranges ever get here. We all want Pa. I ain't selfish, Ma, Frankie cried later that night. All I meant was that the oranges being there would mean Pa's home, safe and sound. I know that. We all know that, said Ma. And we're all worried about Pa. But maybe he'll be home tomorrow. The next morning, the morning of Christmas Eve, Frankie and his brother awoke to the train whistle as it steamed through their pasture. Frankie throws on his old gray sweater and runs downstairs. Aren't you going to wear your sister's Christmas sweater, Ma asks. And Frankie is about to tell her the truth when Pa comes through the door. Oh, Frank, Ma cries, how did you ever get here? Well, he said, when I met that train from Florida at the station to fetch the oranges, I could hardly see the engine, it was snowing so bad. Then I found out all the roads were closed. My heart fair broke. But you're here. And I wouldn't be if it hadn't been for Mr. Dunkel. He overheard me lamenting about how not getting home was, and he said there was only one thing for me to do, ride the train. Why, he even let me sit up there in the engine with him, all the way here. And he loaded the horse and buggy into a boxcar and brought them right along with us. Now, I just wonder what would make him think so kind on me and my family. Pa looked right over at Ma when he said that. I tell you, Rosa, it was a miracle. That's what it was, a miracle. The family was so excited, and Pa said he thought it was the perfect time, excuse me, to put the oranges on the mantel. Each of the children took an orange and placed it on the mantelpiece. 9 oranges nestled in the greens. What a beautiful sight. Hark now, children, don't be tempted to touch them. They're for our Christmas Eve supper tonight, Pa said as he went to change for church. Frankie was already dressed, so he stayed in the parlor with the tempting oranges. He was so happy. His heart said that Pa was home and safe. He could smell the aroma of the oranges. He got closer and closer and finally couldn't resist. He gently touched his orange and then he picked it up. It smelled like sunshine. He was mesmerized. Then suddenly he heard someone coming, his mother. There was no time to put the orange back. He stuffed it into his sweater, and he'd put it back on the mantel when they got home from the Christmas pageant. No one would know. Frankie was indeed a perfect angel in the pageant. But all he could think about was his orange. On the way home in the sleigh, bumping over hills and dells, Frankie was exploding with the thought of eating his orange that night. He felt in his sweater, but it wasn't there. The precious orange was gone. He must have dropped it somewhere. He looked up at his Pa's face and fought back the tears. How could he have been so careless? Finally home, Frankie ran to his room and wept bitterly, afraid to go down to the parlor and face his family. And then there was a knock on the door. His Ma. Frankie, dear, she said, everyone's waiting. We're ready to tell stories. The popcorn is popping, and then there will be time for the oranges. Frankie opened the door. Oh, Ma, I've done a terrible thing, he blurted out. He told her about looking at the orange, but Pa had said not to touch him, but he did. And when he heard Ma coming, he slipped it into his sweater. I was going to put it back, Ma, but I lost it. And that's not all. Stella's sweater, I gave it to one of those hobos. When Ma finally spoke, she said, "You didn't do a terrible thing. Maybe a thoughtless thing, taking that orange. But you did a noble thing, too, giving something that meant so much to you to someone who needed it. That's the true spirit of Christmas, my darling. Now you stay here and collect yourself, and I'll call you when we're ready," she whispered, almost mysteriously. When Frankie did come downstairs, all of his brothers and sisters were waiting. "We have something for you, Frankie," said Stella. And she handed him a bright orange with a pink ribbon tied around it. The orange was made up of 8 wedges. The pink ribbon held them all together. His brothers and sisters all held out their oranges, and a section was missing from each one of them. They had all given him a wedge of their own orange to make an orange for Frankie. "Our family is like your orange, Frankie," Pa said softly. "Love holds us together like that there ribbon." It was the most splendid Christmas ever. The oranges were eaten, savored down to the last bite. Stories were told in front of the fireplace. Popcorn was popped, and hot cocoa was slurped with gusto. And when the family was snug in their beds that night, Ma and Pa looked in on Frankie, and they would tell for years to come how beautiful he was, that he looked like a sleeping angel, and how precious that particular Christmas was to all of them. It was known ever after as Frankie's Christmas. There's a footnote to the end of this story. The author writes, "Generations have passed since that day. Our dear Frankie never made it past childhood. That Christmas was his last. But the descendants of Stella and of her sisters and brothers still set out greens on their stoves or mantels. When the season ends, we all feel a little sad," she says, "as we remove the mantle greens and oranges. The boughs are tinder dry, the oranges are leathery and brown, all except one. A Christmas miracle, we suspect. In all of our households, there's always one single orange that is as fresh as the day it was placed there. In my family, we call it Frankie's orange." There are so many messages in this story about enthusiasm and giving and love and sharing. In truth, through my tears, I couldn't pick just one. So I'm going to ask you to do that for me, or rather, for yourself, allowing that it may be different for each of us, depending upon our history and family and choices. What message did you get from an orange for Frankie? And why do you think you got it? It's a beautiful story. I love it every time I read it. I hope you did too. Now let's talk. Good evening, all. Yeah, I'm with you, Heidi. It doesn't take much, really, does it? When the music is playing and the lights are on, and yeah, all of a sudden, It's not so bah humbug anymore. It's magical, and we feel it. And these children's stories do that for me somehow. They get me in the mood. Normally I only do one a year. I make everybody put up with it because I love it. But this year I opted for two, and I may even go to three because I found another one the other day that I really like. So we'll see. I'm just warning you ahead of time. So talk to me. Do you have any holiday traditions? Something you do no matter what, just because you do it, even if you're alone? Or is it a family tradition? What do you do? I was raised by a single mother who didn't like to wrap presents, not the music. And so I wrapped all of my own Christmas presents, and she always gave me one in tissue paper, but that was all it was, and a box, and said, wrap this one last and open it first. So I knew it was my nightgown, because that was the tradition. Every year, a nice little flannel nightgown wrapped in tissue paper that I was supposed to put in a box, put a bow on, and get ready. And that was pretty much our tradition. That and Mother liked to go out on Christmas Eve and get our tree, which I always hated because they were tired and worn out. But they were free at the ranch market in Hollywood. And she would load up a couple more, and we'd take them to other families that maybe didn't have them. That I liked. And then I met my oldest and dearest friend, and she was a young Swedish girl who had only been here for probably less than a year when I met her. And they brought all the Swedish traditions, so we did Swedish Christmas every year. And I still try to talk my kids into glögg at Christmas time. I missed this year. I may have to make my own batch. Anyway, how about you? What are your Christmas traditions? I want to read what Heidi said here. Oh, I love that story, Heidi. You know, write that up. Write that up. It's a beautiful story. Lights, lights, and more lights with lots of music. It is a lovely story, isn't it, Laura? I love it. Good for you, Heidi. A holiday gratitude list. Where did you publish it? If you tell me these things, I need the information. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, how about traditions? I didn't have any of my own other than the Christmas nightgown wrapping, and the going out and getting trees for other people as well as for ourselves. But I didn't continue that one because we lived in a different kind of area when my kids were growing up, and everybody had a Christmas tree, and we got ours up early. But I did tell my kids they could open one present and I would hand it to them, and guess what it was? I did do that. I don't think they're doing that to their children. I hope they're not. Great, Heidi, thank you. Okay, how about traditions? What do you do at Christmas that got passed down, or is there a tradition you'd like to start? What might it be? What would you do? My oldest son and his wife give adopted animals to us at Christmas time. I love that. So we have a wolf that was adopted in our name, and I got a reindeer this year from you know who. I did. I got a reindeer adopted in my name, and if I go to Scotland where the reindeer lives, I can go on a walk with it. I'm going to Scotland
Yay.
this year
Yay.
because I want to walk with my reindeer. She's beautiful. Merida. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. Does anybody here speak Scottish? Merida, Merida. So talk to me about either a tradition you've already got, one that was part of your family as you were growing up, or one you'd like to start. You're never too old to start a new tradition. Are ya? Huh. So what might that be? What might you do? I know people that go caroling every year. I know people that become Scrooge every year around Christmas. That's not a tradition I recommend, but I do know those who do it. Heidi, that's a great tradition. I love that. Just bring the pictures out at Christmas time and surround yourself with family and friends. I love that. That's beautiful. Leave it to you. That's a wonderful thing to do. What else? Who else? Talk to me. A tradition that you've already got? Something that you do every year? Maybe something that you do every year that you've never even thought of as a tradition. But in fact, if you do it every year, guess what? It is a tradition, at least for you, and that's all that matters. That's my question. What speaks to your heart? What do you love about the holidays that you make it a point to do? We had friends who had two daughters who took ballet lessons, and for years, practically, it was a tradition to go see the Nutcracker because the girls were in it. But the girls are grown now and married, and will probably take a few years off until their daughters take ballet lessons. Oh, I could use a break from the Nutcracker Suite. It's okay. But it was fun. What about you? Come on. What do I have to do to set a fire under you guys? I need you to fill in the blanks for me. Because sometimes our traditions, may I just jump right in here, are not serving us too well. I really do know people who turn into Scrooge at Christmas. So much so, and so often, and for so many years in a row, that it literally became a tradition. Everybody around them backed away and just said, that's them doing their thing. They turn into a grouch, a Grinch at Christmas time. I'm not naming anybody.
I want to know.
No. Names are changed to protect the innocent. Or the not innocent in this particular case. Do you know people like that? Whose tradition is to be a Grinch or a Scrooge and just kind of bah humbug all over everybody? I hope you're not one of them. Nah, you aren't. You aren't. I know you're not. You particularly are not, my friends. I know you're not. But I also know all of you, and I know that you have a tendency to do good in the world. So I'm going to guess that you probably got some Christmas traditions that are heartfelt, that make a difference. Some people traditionally go and serve meals at homeless shelters. Beautiful thing to do. One of our traditions when the kids were little was to wrap them up right after they had opened all their presents, shove them in the car, and go to grandmother's house, and then let them stay there for a little while, and then wrap them up, shove their presents in the car, and go to the other grandmother's house, dragging my mother along with us most of the way. Not a great tradition. There was a point at which I said, "Stop! This is insane." The children don't even get to play with their Christmas presents or see them for, like 2 days after Christmas. Heidi's going to be going to Scotland next year. Prickly thistle. I love it. I love it. Where in Scotland are they? I've been in Ireland at Christmas. I've not been in Scotland at Christmas. But that might be fun, although Meredith's probably working. I want to be able to go for a walk with her, and probably not in the snow. I'm sure she can handle it. I'm just not sure that I can. So, Christmas in Scotland. That would be lovely. Spring might be better. Prickly thistle. I'm going to have to check out prickly thistle. Prickly thistle. That's fun to say. Good for you. I love Kickstarters. I love getting involved in Kickstarters. They're kind of fun to watch. See what happens. The ones I've been involved with have all been great at communicating, almost too great at communicating. Oh, seeing the Nutcracker for the first time. Oh, you'll love it. The music is wonderful, the lights, the costumes, everything. Great, I love it, Laura. Good news. See, Go See Lights is absolutely a traditional, and what a tradition, and what a cute one. We had started a tradition, just the two of us, of going to New York. See, my kids do Christmas with us, like right after Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving or so. And it starts everybody off, and it's wonderful, and then there's no, you have to come see Grandma on Christmas pressure from at least this party. And they love it, and I love it, and we just did that this past weekend, and I am just full of holiday spirit now, and loving my kids and my grandkids and all of that. And we're going to enjoy being home for Christmas. Oh, thanks for the link. Yay! In the Scottish Highlands. I haven't been to the Highlands. Went to Edinburgh. Oh, now I'm missing Scotland. See what you've done. And Laura's going to go see the Nutcracker. Oh, it's fun. It's fun. It's bright and it's cheerful, and I love the music. And isn't it fun watching the kids develop their own traditions? My daughter and her husband and 2 kids were going back to Kansas City every other Christmas, and being with the family there at Christmas time, which our arrangement didn't have to change and didn't get in the way, and it was wonderful. I loved it. but now both of his parents have passed in the last few years, and I don't know if they're going to be doing that. So Laura's got kind of the same thing, bi-coastal kids. Oh, a big band Christmas show. How fun. We we started, we thought, a tradition. They do a Christmas Eve boat parade, not Christmas Eve, but a Christmas week boat parade in Ventura Harbor. And a couple of years ago, we got tickets for it. We were very excited. And we got them through the Greek restaurant, so we could sit inside the Greek restaurant at a window that faced right out on the harbor and watch the boats go by. And we got to the Greek restaurant. It was cold. I remember it was very, very cold. And got to the Greek restaurant and ordered up some hummus right away to try to get us warm and a glass of wine. And we waited for the boats, and we waited for the boats, and we waited for the boats. And they finally announced that the boats were not going to be coming by because it was too cold and too windy and too dangerous. And sorry, better luck next year. So we decided maybe we wouldn't make that a tradition since the signs were all against it. And then, of course, the pandemic came along, and I'm seeing signs that they're doing it again this year, but I don't know that I'm tempted. I don't, number one, want to be that cold again, and number two, trust that the boats will actually show up. So we shall see. I would think that if you're at the El Portal in North Hollywood and it's an indoor show, you're probably pretty safe. But beware the boats. Anyway, all right. What I'd like you to think about is starting some holiday traditions that really serve your spirit. What can you do, either with others or by yourself? There's no rule about this one. I'm not sticking any rules on it. I'm not going to do that. But what can you do that will enlighten your spirit? I love Heidi's story about her mother in the hospital at Christmas time and what they did. Love just has a way of making everybody right. And, making up a holiday gratitude list, Heidi, I love that. What a beautiful idea. I may copycat that idea. What can you do that will put your spirit to work for the holidays? What can you do? You can listen to me. All right, I accept that. Well, that's it. I could do a couple more Christmas stories too, and you could just Christmas Eve put them on and just go from one to the other and listen to all the Christmas stories. I suppose at some point I should tell the Christmas story, but that's kind of Christmas Eve-ish. I haven't even looked at the calendar. I keep meaning to do that.
It's January, Mar.
Pardon?
It's January already.
It's not January already. It's December.
Okay.
Honest, I know that. I know that.
I thought I could trick you.
Nope. Okay, so Christmas is on a Saturday. So maybe I'll do a post-Christmas. I don't know. I haven't decided. Let me think on that, how I'll handle that. It is It's not January. It is absolutely not January.
Made you think, made you think.
Oh, made me look at my calendar again,
There
just
you
in
go.
case. I thought, no, can't miss it. That's not possible. I. All right. I love you guys. All of you. Even the one over there. So, my friends, think about what you can do to really. Heidi talks about seeing the lights and how bright and shiny and how that just kind of got her in the mood. She says, the Christmas music was playing, the lights were magical. I felt the holiday spirit. And you know, when you're in that kind of a mood, you make other people's lives better. You just do. You're not grumpy, you're not grouchy, it makes you want to smile. So, number one, what can you do during the holidays to let your light shine? And number two, what can you do maybe because of the holidays that keeps your light shining? Not just through the holidays, but throughout the year. What if the holidays are meant to be just a refueling time? Like charging your electric car. What if instead of being a lovely month full of memories and traditions and things of that sort, it's actually meant to be a time to reconnect, to remember, to rededicate yourself to being who you want to be. Giving instead of getting. I like that, Heidi. Yeah, see, that's going to say hi to Paula for me. Giving out food to the homeless in Toluca Lake. Somehow that, I've got to tell you, that does sound funny. The homeless in Toluca Lake. I know they're there. But Toluca Lake in so many minds is so rich. Out of work actors. Oh, you're going to have a lot of people there. Oh, when they bought out a theater for a showing of West Side Story, how cool is that? See, there's a lot of giving that we can do or participate in that not only does good in the world and not only would be a fabulous tradition to start, but also does us good because it reminds us of who we are and who we really want to be and how we want to feel. Yeah, remembrance and renewal. Thank you, Laura. Tina wants us to help the homeless kitties. Absolutely. We do a lot of that. Cax, I almost said Cax book. I meant Spirit's book. Spirit's book. All of the proceeds are going to Kitty Bungalow, Home for Wayward
Charm School.
Charm School for Wayward Cats. Kitty Bungalow Charm School for Wayward Cats.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd have that emblazoned in my little brain. Because they're doing wonderful work. And that's where Spirit came from. And they named a cat Spirit.
Yeah.
They named a terrorist cat Spirit. I love these people. And you know, he's turning out to be a real love bug. He was just agreeing with me. Are we letting him back in? We are letting him back in.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. You're being talked about. Come on, baby. Good job. Good job.
Spirit!
Spirit,
Spirit! Come here.
go see Mom. Come on.
Come here.
Now,
Hmm?
now he's going to be shy.
Yeah, well, probably not for too long. Hmm? He is a character. He's a fascinating little character, and he's really turning into a love bug. And as opposed to how he was when he first got here, now, if he feels like he should bite you because you're doing something wrong, he just clamps a little. And yeah, that's one of the clamps, but I bruise easily. He's
Baby.
just a love bug. He sleeps on the bed. Unfortunately, he won't let anybody else sleep on the bed, but he sleeps on the bed. And he's a sweetheart. So, you never know. Cat's named Spirit. How could they have known? How could they have? I think it must have been an affirmation. We had a cat named Harmony, and it was absolutely an affirmation when we first got her, and she lived up to it. So there we go. Okay, folks. It's his bed. Well, yeah, it is. He does think it is.
It's his house. It's his everything. Come on, boo. Here we are. He's going to say hello. There we go.
Oh, is he coming over to say hello?
Coming over to say hello.
Okay, hold on. Spirit, you can look at yourself.
There you are,
There
Spirit.
you are.
Wait. There you are.
Spirit, look. Look.
He's out of frame. Oh.
There's my boy. Okay, baby. I don't like hanging like this.
Go on. Sit with Mom.
You can always tell where the tail is. Yes. Hi, baby. He's a good boy. So, my friends, we are approaching countdown time. It's the stage where they start saying 10 more days till Christmas. And in fact, it is 10 more days till Christmas, which is usually a warning to get your shopping done. But what if it's a reminder to plug in, to connect, to give from yourself the very best that you can, to smile at people, to love people. I wish I save things from my Zen calendar because it's just amazingly wonderful. And I had one I wanted to use for tonight, but I don't know what I've done with it. But this one's not bad. This one from yesterday says, God realization is nothing but the ability and the expansiveness of the heart to love everything equally. God realization is nothing but the ability and the expansiveness of the heart to love everything equally. So let's practice that. Loving everything, including yourself, equally. Including yourself. Because you're part of the everything, whether you like it or not. You don't get to opt out of the everything. So, my friends, what shall we pray for tonight? What shall we heal, enlarge, gift the world? What shall we pray for tonight?
Spirit.
I have a couple of things already, but I'd like something for you. Because I
I want to pray for China and Russia.
6 days till solstice. Well, that too, yes. That's okay. I've been running around for a week saying it's winter, so I'm there. Accepting prayer requests right now.
Spirit, what do you want to have prayed for? What do you want to be prayed for? More time with mommies.
Okay, Tina, thank you. Hi, he's back.
Hi, baby.
Okay. Thank you, Heidi. Got it. I bet he is sad, Heidi. I get that. All right, I'm going to start. If you're hanging around there in the background, just kind of listening but not saying anything, and would like a prayer request, just put it in. I'll catch it. Yeah, we've been praying, Laura. Okay. If you think of anything, just put it in there. And for now, I'm going to ask you to just take a gentle breath and be with me. Come with me. Come with me. Let us go together to that secret place of the Most High, to the holy of holies within, to that place where we are all one, all connected. All expanding our hearts to learn how to love everything equally. And know with me there, let us join hearts and hands and minds and know together that every word that we speak, that every person whose name we mention, is in fact in this with us, in this holy place, in this place of miracles. And because they are open, even if they are only open a little bit, the power of prayer expands their minds, their hearts, and their lives so that they are receptive to and accepting of that which we claim for them. And so I know for Lynn, rapid and complete healing from his lung transplant. I know that he is going to astonish the doctors with his healing time, and that everything will have come together perfectly, easily, effortlessly, and well. That pain dissolves, and his new life gives him fresh air and new energy and a whole new and wonderful outlook on life. And I know for Tucker, self-care and rest and renewal. I know that she is up to everything that needs to be done, handles it beautifully and easily and stresslessly. Rest and care and ease. I know for Patricia, healing and a revealing of the perfect life within her. And a gentle letting go of the way that it has to be for the way that it is meant to be. I know for Tina, continuing success at work and patience as she waits for the snow that will come. I know for Heidi's designer friend who has been struggling, that the struggle now lifts and is replaced by peace. That he forgives himself if necessary, but simply lets go of anything that is causing him stress or anxiety or unhappiness and makes the right decisions to lift his mind, his heart, and his life. I know for Laura's cousin, continuing healing. It is done. Her whole body now responds to the power of prayer. It enlivens, it reacts to the recreation of every cell if necessary. As each cell remembers who and what it is and rises and acts accordingly. And I know too for her cousin who is experiencing heart failure, strength of heart, power of heart, a heart filled with wholeness and love and joy and excitement. And the understanding that in fact all things are possible. I know for Kathy, who is busy decluttering, that it is meant to give her peace. And it does. And that she knows that the releasing is making room for more and better, and that's where she puts her focus. And she is strengthened by her resolve and strengthened by her relationships. And I know that her relationships, particularly the one with Heidi, is stress-free and joyous. And that where something is released, laughter fills in the blanks, and joy, and love, and appreciation. And I know, as corny as it sounds, that in this season of peace, there is peace on earth. And a goodwill towards men and women, and animals, and nature, and life, and the planet. And that we all come together knowing our place, doing our work, and changing the facts so that peace prevails and love abounds and hearts are expanded. And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for the miraculous power of prayer, for the love in this room, for the life we all live, for the community that we live in, for the spiritual community that finds its traditions in love and in the presence of spirit. Grateful. And we simply allow it to be so. We let go and let God. And so it is. And we have our streaming Christmas sing-along. I love it. All right. If that doesn't put you in the mood, nothing's going to. I love you. I love you. I love you. I will see you Sunday. Thank you for your support in all the ways that you give it. I love doing this. I love you. I am grateful for your presence. And so it is. See you Sunday.